Joining me now is the UFC interim welterweight champion. He is coming off a win over Rafael dos Anjos at UFC 225 this past June. It is the one, the only, Colby Chaos Covington. Colby, how are you?
I'm doing good, man. Just enjoying this beautiful South Florida day. Just proud to be an American.
That's awesome. Great to hear, and I know it has been a while since we've talked to you, so it's good to hear from you again. I know my understanding is you're taking a few minutes out of a poker tournament. What's going on right now? How far in are you, and are you ahead of the majority of people in it, or how's it all going?
Yeah, it's early on in the tournament. It's there's a tournament series. It's the World Poker Tour, and it's going on at the Seminole Hard Rock in Hollywood, Florida, which is right by my house. So, a little $1,000 tournament. There's like $100,000 up for first place, but it's early in the tournament. I got to get through a couple hundred people, so we'll see what happens. But I'm just having fun, enjoying a little bit of time off, a little bit of break, and a little time to kind of just clear my head, get my mind right, and get ready to come back and defend my title.
I remember talking to you well over a year ago now, and you told me that you were an avid poker player at the time. Do you still play as much as you did back then?
Yeah, I still play almost, every day. When I have an off day or just, at night, it kind of helps me, get a breath of fresh air and get away from training, get away from my mind thinking about fighting and training. And so, yeah, I still play poker a lot. I love it. I have a passion for the sport, and I really do want to be a two-sport world champion, not just in MMA and UFC, but also in poker in the future.
I'm curious, have you ever been in a tournament that Bruce Buffer was also a part of?
No, I haven't been in any of the tournaments that Buffer's been in, but I fought in Singapore, and he announced me in Singapore we were going to go play cash games together. So we've definitely been in the same casino floor together, but never in the same tournament.
Very cool. I'm sure. I mean, you got hooked up with President Trump. I'm sure you can get that figured out just being in a tournament with Buffer.
Yeah, just make one quick call. I'm sure my manager Dan Lambert has his phone number.
Absolutely. Okay, so where have you been? I know, as I said, it's been a while since we spoke, but anybody else? I mean, we haven't really heard from you, even on social media. You're typically pretty active. You hadn't done anything on Twitter or any other media up until this week or last week for quite a while. Where have you been, and why did you, I guess, in a way, disappear for a little while?
I had to disappear. Before the White House, I had the Secret Service calling my phone, so the Secret Service was making sure, I was keeping things on down low, wasn't talking to anybody, and just being quiet before I went to the White House and met Mr. President Donald Trump.
Is that just typical for anybody that meets with Trump, or why were you given any sort of explanation as to why you had to be quiet, or if they said be quiet, you were okay with that?
Yeah, I was okay with it. I figured it was the smartest thing to do. I didn't want to piss anybody or ruffle the wrong feathers. Once I knew that, which was a couple weeks before, that I was going to the White House, I didn't want to mess it up. So I was making sure I was on my P's and Q's, and I was waiting to go meet the greatest living American, the leader of the free nation, Donald Trump.
Now, before we talk about that, there's a lot to get to. One thing I want to talk about right off the bat is your surgery. You recently had surgery last month for a nasal issue. I'm curious, what exactly was wrong? How serious was it? And when did this problem with your nose actually come up?
Oh, yeah, this was a very serious disease. This wasn't just like a sickness. This was a legitimate disease that I've had for probably 8 months. It started before the Damian Maia fight. I started getting on every antibiotic cocktail known to man. I mean, Z-Pak, Augmentin, all these different harsh antibiotics that just ruin your body and make you weak. And it's because at first they were diagnosing me. They didn't know what to diagnose me with. They said chronic sinusitis, but then I ended up getting an x-ray, and I found out I had a deviated septum and chronic sinusitis. So I needed to go in and get the nasal surgery to clean up all the mucus and all the phlegm that was like in my throat and in my nose. So it was hard to breathe, man. Like my bronchial tubes were almost closed, so it was restricting my oxygen coming to my lungs because all the mucus was draining from my nose right onto my lungs. So this was a very serious disease. I couldn't breathe for a while, and it was imperative that I got, the surgery done so I could get back to somewhat close to full health before my next fight, before my title unification fight.
In the RDA fight, your cardio looked better than ever. In hindsight, is that kind of surprising, knowing what you were going through?
Yeah, no, it's very surprising. Going into the fight, it was on my mind a lot, but I knew my will would take over, and that's where you really saw me implement my will, and I'm unstoppable, man. There's just not a man alive that can hang in there and go to the deep waters with me. And honestly, that wasn't 100%. That was probably 70%. So looking back on it, I'm glad I went through it. It definitely made me a lot mentally stronger, but you're going to see a better version of me going forward, and I will be at full health in the future and breathing with all my lungs, and you're going to see a different pace than you've ever seen in that octagon.
Why did you not get this surgery before, or before July, basically? Why did you end up fighting Maia with it? Why did you fight RDA in the biggest fight of your life with it when you weren't at 100%? Why was now, when you got the surgery and not 8 months ago or 7 months ago?
Yeah, now I was, in a better financial situation where I could afford it. I don't have health insurance, so, it's an expensive procedure, so... now I was in a better position. And before I took those fights, it was a risk to reward. The risk was greater than the reward. And now, it's a different situation. Now I'm the champion. I want to be close. I know no one fights at 100%, but I want to be near close to 100% next time I fight. So before it was a matter of risk reward. And at the time I felt like it was the right decision to make. You don't get shots at interim titles very often. So, I couldn't pass that up.
Was the Dong Hun Kim fight the last time you were, in the cage at 100%?
Yeah, definitely. The Dong Hun Kim fight was when I was the last time I was 100%, and that was. But that I wouldn't even say I was 100% for that. There's a lot of things that I had to battle going to Singapore. I had to fly all the way on the other side of the world. We're on 12 hours ahead difference, so I was super sleepy in the locker room before walking out to the fight because. It was like 4 or 5 a.m. or 6 a.m. in the U.S. when we were fighting over there. So those had some obstacles and hurdles as it was. Sure. But after that fight, I called my shots. I said it was champagne and title fights on U.S. soil after I beat Damian Maia, and that's what it's been. And then I said I was bringing the belt to Trump. So I'm a man of my word. I do everything I say.
You said title fights and champagne on U.S. soil. Do you think you'll ever fight in Brazil again?
I think it's safe to say I'll never be back in Brazil for the rest of my life. I think I'm probably the most hated man and most wanted man. I know they put a bounty on my head, and a lot of the favelas were saying they were going to kill me and they'd murder me if I ever even tried to come back to Brazil. So, I think I'm going to stay out of Brazil for a while. There's already enough Brazilians in South Florida that I have to worry about.
Fair enough. When do you expect to be able to fight again? When are you targeting as your return date?
I'm targeting a return date of November or December. We'll see how things shake out between the winner of the number one contender fight between Till Dosbury versus the Soy Boy Woodley at UFC 228 in Dallas. So, whoever wins that number one contenders fight, I'll be looking to get them in November or December.
I'm curious. Are you going to that fight? Will you be in attendance in Dallas, Texas?
I don't know yet. We'll have to see how my schedule plays out. I got a lot of things planned coming up. I'm going to go to Fort Bragg. I'm going to go to Joint Base Langley Eustis, another Air Force Army base in Virginia. So we'll see how my schedule plays out. If I don't have a date or hanging out with some chicks or going to an Army base or just living the American dream, celebrating my world title tour, then I might make an appearance there.
Now, it seems as if you are not Tyron Woodley's next opponent. Darren Till is, simply because you weren't ready for the September 8th date. Is that true? Is that from your side of the story? Is that why they're fighting?
Could you repeat the question? Sorry
right, yeah. Just as far as why they're fighting, it seems as if the only answer is because you weren't ready for the September 8th date just because of your nasal surgery. Is that the case? Is that true? I mean, is that the only reason you're not fighting Woodley? Till is?
Yeah, 110%. Woodley came out. He hasn't fought. You have to realize Woodley hasn't fought in 13 months. So, he's been out long enough. He's been milking shoulder injuries. In that 13 months he's been out, I beat the three top contenders in the division: Dong Hun Kim, Damian Maia, and Ralphie Dos Nachos. So, I melted three little soy boys, top contenders, during that time while Woodley was sitting out in Hollywood, preaching about the Kardashians and talking about Justin Bieber and if he can train Floyd Mayweather. So, it's time for him to fight, and he needs to prove that he can even still fight at this level anymore. He's been out 13 months. He's 36 years old. He may not have that same motivation anymore. I think he's soft. I think he's done. I think his career's over. I wanted to be the one to finish it, but, I can't finish it on that date. September 8th doesn't work for me. I had to push it back to November. So, Now it's the soy boy Woodley versus the doughboy fucking Tillsbury. You know, he can't even make weight. He needs to prove he can make championship weight. He's missed weight 2 out of 6 fights in the UFC. Do the math. That's like 35%. That's not professional. Either go up to middleweight. You know, you're not a welterweight. You're a catchweight. So, you know, he needs to prove that. And he's in a no-selling pay-per-view market in England. They don't sell pay-per-views over there. They stream that shit. They also don't have dentists. So, you know, whoever wins that number 1 contenders fight, they got an ass whooping waiting from the American Patriot, Colby Covington, UFC welterweight champion.
You only fought in June, 2 months ago. Do you feel like the UFC has not exactly given you adequate time to heal up from the RDA fight, heal up from everything else, get ready for your next fight, the biggest fight of your life, heading into this planned Woodley fight that isn't happening quite right away? I mean, Dana White has said that, you know, interim titles mean you fight when the champion is ready to go, but, I mean, Woodley can't be ready to go a month after your fight. That's not really fair. I mean, has the UFC not given you adequate time to really get ready following the RDA fight?
Yeah, you know, they tried to rush it. You know, they wanted this fight in September because they forgot to book, you know, a fight for that Dallas pay-per-view, and they needed a main event. So, you know, they were trying to rush me in to do it, and Woodley was the only available champion that was ready to fight because he's been off for 13 months. So, you know, obviously wanted to make me versus him and unify the titles, but that doesn't work on my time schedule. I just fought a 5-round war with Ralphie Dos Nachos, and on top of that, I had to get a surgery. So I need time for my body and my mind to heal and get a little recovery, man. I'm only human. You know, I'm not on steroids where I could just shoot some stuff in my ass and be ready to go the next day. So, you know, they tried to rush it, but, you know, that's probably a lot of Woodley's fault. He was trying to pull this fight and make this fight happen September 8th, but, you know, and he said he was ready to go then, but, you know, he messed up, man. Hopefully he doesn't fuck this up because it was supposed to be me and him. That's the big money fight. You know, that Doughboy versus Soy Boy Woodley, that's not doing over 100,000 buys. I guarantee it. It won't do 100,000 pay-per-views. If they would have waited for me and Woodley, that's guaranteed probably doing 500,000 buys, 500,000 buys. So, you know, it is what it is. Hopefully Woodley doesn't fuck this money fight up because that's the fight I want.
What was your reaction when you saw that Woodley Till was a go for 228?
I said, cool, man. Let them fight it out for the number 1 contender. I'm the real champ. Everybody knows I'm the champ. I earned that belt. Possession is 9/10 a lie. The only way you're getting that belt is if you beat me for it. So not a man alive can beat me for that belt. So let them fight it out for the number 1 contenders fight.
So it seems like you're rather okay with just waiting for a little bit longer?
Yeah, 100%, man. I'm young, man. I ain't going nowhere. I'm not old at the end of my time. You know, I can wait for them. Whoever is going to be the winner, who knows? Maybe I'm going to fight Nick Diaz or that syrup sucker GSP, or maybe, you know, Calabib or you know, that little Irish cokehead Connor. You know, big fights might present themselves before the winner of Soy Boy versus Doughboy.
Now, if you have to give me a pick, I'm sure you really don't care, but who do you think will win between Woodley and Till?
Man, I can't pick. You know, you got a kid who can't make weight versus a guy that's old and past his time. You know, I don't know. I don't really care, but, you know, I do care because this is the first time I've ever rooted for Woodley. I want to be the one to retire him and finish his career. So, you know, hopefully he wins.
You said just a few minutes ago that the Woodley fight against you is the money fight. What happens if Darren Till does pull it off? I mean, he's a big guy. He could beat Woodley. It's not out of the realm of possibilities. What happens then? I mean, do you just move on and fight Till for the real title, so to speak, or the undisputed title, the unified title? Does life move on without Tyron Woodley?
Yeah, absolutely. Life moves on without Tyron Woodley. You know, that's what I got to do, man. If it's Till, it's Till. You know, I'll derail all the hype that he's gotten from the UFC and from England, and shut him up and everybody up that thinks he's all hyped.
Has the UFC actually called you and said, Colby Covington, as of September 8th, the minute Woodley and Till touch gloves, you will no longer be the interim champion? Is that something they've actually told you?
You know, that's fake news. You know, the only way you get that belt is when you beat me for that belt, and no one's beat me for that belt. So I earned that belt fair and square. Till's never done anything fair and square. He misses weight 33% of the time. You know, Woodley's never done anything fair. He's a cheater. He's a fake. You know, he hasn't fought in over a year. So they need to prove themselves. If they want this money fight, everybody knows I'm the money fight now. Everybody knows. You know, no one's done what I've done. I'm the first MMA fighter in history to go to the White House, sitting in the Oval Office just chatting with Donald Trump like a regular day. No big deal. So everybody knows I'm the money fight now. So if they want to come fight it, they're going to have to prove themselves whoever worthy.
So do you feel like your stock doesn't change whatsoever, even if you do actually get the official interim title taken away?
No, absolutely. They ain't stripped anything yet. I earned that title. I have a legitimate medical condition. There's a doctor who, did this surgery, and he's talking to the UFC doctors. This is public knowledge. Like, they ain't stripping anything, man. That I earned that belt. I beat the second best fighter in the division, Rafi Dos Nachos. No one's taking that belt, and you can't strip me. Possession is 9/10 of the law. I earned that belt. That belt's not leaving me. I'll take it everywhere. I'm taking it to the military troop bases. I'm taking it everywhere. It sits in my house, or actually it's at the Oval Office now. I left it with Donald Trump. So, but I'm gonna get a replica. A little Walmart version, one of them.
If they do strip you on September 8th, just over a month from now, how much does that devalue interim titles in the UFC as a whole?
I don't think it devalues them. I think it, I don't know. It's a tough subject to say, but, interim titles, they're made for a reason. Why was this interim title made? It was made because the champion's sitting out for a year and doesn't want to fight. Woodley was offered me in December, and he begged and he scratched and clawed to tell Dana White in the UFC, I'm not fighting Colby, blah, blah, blah. I'll fight Nate Diaz. I'll fight GSP. I'm not fighting Colby, blah, blah, blah. He went back and forth. He ducked the fight. Okay, on to the next thing. Then they want to offer me Woodley the Ultimate Fighter shot. And then he's like, I got to get shoulder surgery, So, he's a fake, man. He's a fraud. He's faking injuries. So, they should make interim world titles if the champion's scared to fight. And that's what they did. The champion was scared to fight, and I'm the real champion now. I'm the people's champion. I'm America's champion, Colby Chaos Covington.
Throughout all of this, not getting the Tyron Woodley fight as planned, has your relationship with Dana White and the UFC lessened at all, or does hooking you up with President Trump sort of balance everything out?
Oh, I don't really care, man. I know a lot of people at the UFC, a bunch of little soy boys, a lot of liberals over there. So I'm sure they don't like me and they're mad about what I'm doing. But, at the end of the day, I don't really care what they think, man. I'm here for business. I'm not here to be friends with anybody. I'm here to make money. So as soon as the UFC wants to call me and make my bank account great again, we can do business.
Do you sort of understand where the UFC is coming from, their situation, the one they're in? I mean, it's not ideal for you, of course, not getting this Tyron Woodley money fight, but the UFC needed a main event for Dallas, and they ultimately were going to do whatever it took to get it. Do you understand their point of view?
Yeah, it is what it is. You don't see me mad about it. You don't see me upset about it. I could care less, man. I'm the best fighter in the world. No one's taking that title from me. No one's beat me to take that title from me, so it is what it is. Let the UFC do business and make this number one contenders fight, and we'll see how the chips fall after they may.
And last thing, Woodley said you never actually wanted to fight. How do you respond to that?
Dude, I mean, it's the same thing as he's always saying in the media. Can you trust one thing that guy says? The guy's the fakest guy, since fake news. That guy's a living fake news reporting machine. So I don't care what Tyron Woodley says. I don't have anything to say about Tyron Woodley. He knows what happened last time we trained at American Top Team. I left him unconscious. He's a bum. He's a jobber. He knows his career's over. He's been ducking me from the start. Look at him. The only reason he took this fight is because he doesn't want to fight me. He didn't want to wait one more month to fight me. He could have waited one more month to fight me, Nick. He didn't have to take this fight with Doughboy, but, he wanted to take this fight with Doughboy because he didn't want to wait one more month for me to get healthy and get to 100% because he knows I'll end his career, and he doesn't want to have to live the rest of his life knowing that I end his career. So it is what it is. Tyron Woodley, he's a fake news machine. He's a little soy boy.
Has the UFC told you will indeed fight the winner of Tyron, Darren Till? Have they told you that and confirmed it?
Yeah, it's a given. You heard Damian White at the media scrum. He says I will fight the winner. So, everybody knows what's next and who's next.
As far as your immediate plans, just get healthy, get better, and keep on training, and then wait for the winner for November, December. Is that sort of the plan?
Yeah, just get healthy, keep improving, getting better every day, and we'll see how the cards fall. I might be in a bigger fight before the winner of that, so we'll see what happens. GSP needs an opponent for Toronto. I think I'm the perfect fit for that. I'm the real welterweight champ. I'm the real welterweight GOAT. GSP thinks he's the greatest of all time. He's got another thing coming.
All right, Colby, I know you have a poker tournament you're in right now, so I'll let you go. Before I let you go, and thanks again for the time, just remind everybody where they can find you on social media, and if there's anybody you'd like to thank or give a shout out to, the floor is yours.
Yeah, follow me at Colby Cov MMA, and thanks to everybody in America that supports me. Proud to be an American champion, an American patriot, and I'm gonna keep using my platform to raise awareness to Trump, the troops, and America.